So what does your 2022 racing calendar look like? Hi, and welcome to the Ageless Runner. I'm Ralph. So I've been thinking about my race calendar for this year, and if you're not doing races, I would suggest that you consider doing some because they add a lot of fun and excitement to your running journey. It gives you something to train for and just really a fun experience. So I kind of divide my races up into two categories, ones that I'm planning to do and ones that I'm interested in doing. So ones I'm planning to do are ones I'm training for and registering for. And the ones I'm interested in doing, well, if the situation works out, I'm available and I'm feeling good and I'm healthy, I may do those. So I thought today I'd just share a little bit with you about what I'm doing. There may be some logic to what I'm doing that may fit you. Not that you can go out and do the same races I'm doing, but you may get an idea of how I like to divide up road runs and trail runs and how frequently I do these things. So my sweet spot in running races is the half marathon. What I like about the half marathon, you can do it in the morning. You can go out, if you got to travel a little ways, you can drive there, do the race, come back, and you're done kind of like midday. And the half marathon for me doesn't tire me so much that I can't do other things that day. I wouldn't go out and cut grass, for example, but if I want to socialize or do something, go out to dinner with my wife, I'll have the energy to do that after half marathon. Now, I have done 5Ks. 5Ks don't interest me too much because they're over so quick. They're fast races, and if I got to drive to them, if I got to drive a half hour to do a 30-minute race, half-hour race, to me that just doesn't interest me. But if it's real close, I might do it, especially if I do it with a family member of some sort. So actually, the first race I'm actually registered for, I don't think I'm going to be able to do, and that is the Las Vegas Rock and Roll Half Marathon, and that's at the end of February. I actually registered for this race 2 years ago. In January 2020, I registered for the 2020 half marathon in Las Vegas. So it was going to be in November. We all know how 2020 went, right? It was a complete bust with a pandemic. They didn't announce until the middle of 2021 when the race was going to happen. That's in February 2022. Well, I don't know that I can go in February 2022, and it's only about 6 weeks away. I don't know. I may have some commitments that's going to interfere with that. And I have to decide, do I want to book travel and go out there and actually do that? So I may not actually do that. And unfortunately or disappointingly, they have no refund options. So I'm just going to be out my $100. That's what it cost when I registered 2 years ago. But sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to, cry over it or just going to move on. So the first race I'm planning to do, though, is in April. Where I live here in Ohio, there's just not a lot of races in January, February, March. Just not a lot of opportunities to do that. So I'm actually going to race in April, and that's the Xenia, Ohio Half Marathon. I actually did that 2 years ago. It was a lot of fun. I did it with both my daughters. I'm going to try and encourage them to do it with me. Sharing races, doing races with family or friends, just kind of makes it a lot of fun. You can share the experience both pre-race, post-race, maybe even during the race if you run together. So that's my first planned race, is the Xenia, Ohio Half Marathon. Now in May, there's a race I'm interested in doing. That's the Dayton, Ohio Half Marathon, and that's in kind of the middle of May. If I'm feeling good after the Xenia race, I may register for it and do it. We'll just see how that goes. But the next race I'm planning to do, and one of my goals this year is to run a 50K. So the next race I'm planning to do is a race at Cedar Creek State Park, which is I think it's in Warren County here in Ohio. And the reason I'm interested in that as a 50K is they also run a 50-mile race in parallel. And the 50-mile people have 14 hours to do their race. So that gives the 50K people also 14 hours. Now, I'm not going to need anything close to 14 hours to do this, but I know that there's plenty of time. Should I need to rest for a while, there's plenty of time to do that race. So that's my next race I'm planning to do. And I'm really hoping I can be healthy then and there's no issues that come up, that I can do my first ultra marathon 50K in July. Now, I have a couple of backup races should that fall apart. There's a 50K in September, there's one in October. This will be my backup races should I not be able to do the one in July. And that's probably the only races I will do in the summer. The next race I'm looking at doing is in September. And this is kind of an interesting one, and that's the Air Force Marathon. The Air Force Marathon, I think, would be a really fun race to do. I may do the half marathon, not the full. I actually was a volunteer for this in 2019. I was a ham radio operator at a medical station, and just got to see the runners. There's a lot of patriotism in this race, people coming by carrying flags and guys wearing some of their, maybe military hats or things like this. It's kind of a really neat experience. I thought I would like to do that. The only thing that gives me a little pause, it's a very popular race. It's a big race. In other words, there are thousands and thousands of runners to do this race, and I don't know if I want to get in that big of a race. I may. Maybe I can talk to my daughter into doing it with me, and she can drive me there and drive me home, and I don't have to deal with the crowds. So the next race I'm very interested to do is in October, and that's the Urban Bourbon in Louisville, Kentucky. I did that also in 2019. That's kind of a fun race. If you ever, I don't know if you've ever been to Louisville, Kentucky, but if you're interested in bourbon or horses, it's a great city to visit. Obviously, this race is called the Urban Bourbon for a reason. Of course, Louisville is known for bourbon. You can actually go there and visit. There's distilleries there to visit, which is kind of fun. But after the race, they have a party, and there's distillers there where you can try little samples of bourbon. They give you like 5 samples, I think, 4 or 5 samples, tickets you can use and try different distillers. So it's a lot of fun. It's a nice, good weekend kind of an adventure that my wife and I enjoy doing. So that's one I'm very interested in doing. That's almost in the plan to do stage, but not quite. We'll see about that. But if that falls through, there's a 25K trail race in October I'm also interested in doing. So I have a couple of interested to do races in October. The next race I'm planning to do is, again, the Turkey Trot in Dayton. I did that in 2021. That worked out really nice. I like that race because it's flat. It runs down along the Great Miami River, along the bike trail. It's just a flat, even course. Fairly easy to do. You can take it at a nice, easy pace and just do that in a couple hours. It's just kind of fun to do. So you do have to keep in mind when you plan your races, give yourself plenty of rest time between races. So, like I say, I like probably 6 weeks would be the absolute minimum between races I would do if they were 2 half marathons, for example. This 50K race I do in July, I'm not going to run, like I said, the next race I'm looking at maybe September, maybe 2 months out. Give me plenty of rest time after doing a 50K. So you can't plan them too quickly together. And I'm not a prolific racer. In 2021, as I said, I only did 2 races. If I do 3 this year, maybe 4 at the most, that's kind of my level of interest in racing. So you may be wondering how you can go out and find some races. There's really 3 sources I would recommend. One is local running clubs. They often sponsor a lot of these races. Some of these races I mentioned here are put on by the Ohio River Roadrunners Club, which is a fairly active, fairly large club in Ohio. And they do several races. Well, I shouldn't say so. They do a lot of races throughout the year. And you don't have to be a member necessarily to run these. You can sometimes pay a little fee. If they're smaller races, members run it for free. And maybe you might have to pay $5 if you're a non-member. Some of the larger races, like the Xenia, Ohio Half Marathon, which is put on by the Ohio River Roadrunners Club, you have to pay. Even members have to pay because it costs a lot, as they say, to produce those races. They need to get more money. But even then, they're not a lot of money. They're like $40, $45, and you can register and do a half marathon. So it's fairly affordable. So local running clubs are a source. They may have a website you can check out. One internet source that I use is called Running in the USA, and they have a nice search function. You can search by state, date, distance, and there's a couple other factors you can use to search to find races. And then a third site is Run Sign Up. RunSignup.com is often used by races to handle their registration and fee collection. But they also have a little link at the top that says Find a Race. And again, you can search by location, distance, time of year, and you can maybe find other races. Sometimes the races in Run Sign Up may or may not be in runningintheusa.com. So those are 2 sources you can go to. And there are probably other sources out there, but those are the 2 internet sources that I use to find races. So as I kind of roll all this up, there's really 3 races I'm planning to do. That's the Xenia Half Marathon, the Cedar Creek 50K, and the Dayton Turkey Trot Half Marathon. And there's some other races interspersed there. I'm kind of interested in some other half marathons, a 25K, that kind of can be done if situation permits. That again can be a lot of fun, especially if you can run it with somebody. I have a younger daughter that really likes to do races, and we may do some things with her. So thanks again for watching. I highly encourage you to do a little research, find some races that might interest you, kind of get registered for them, start training for them, and just kind of enhances and really makes your whole running experience a lot of fun. And again, people of all ages run these races. I'm over 60, and I know a lot of my subscribers are the older runner type, and people of all ages run these things. I remember the trail marathon I did back in June. There's actually a 73-year-old man who finished the 100-mile race. So people of all ages do these races, so go out, have a lot of fun. So thanks again for watching. In either event, if you're not a subscriber, I'd love to have you along with me. Hit that subscribe icon. And thank you for watching again, and happy running.